Jared walked through the crowded marketplace of Orbis Station, a massive hub where dozens of alien species traded, bartered, and watched each other closely. He was small for a human, but his eyes were sharp and curious. Today he had only a few credits to his name, but he had a plan. Among the cluttered stalls he spotted something unusual, a corroded, beaten-up safe sitting in the corner of a shady vendor's stand. The aliens nearby laughed as they pointed at him. "Who would buy that junk?" a tall, blue-skinned alien sneered. Its eyes glowed faintly with amusement. Other aliens joined in, cackling. "It's worthless." Jared smiled faintly. He didn't answer. He studied the safe carefully. Its metal was rusted, its lock bent, and it looked like it had been forgotten for centuries. Most would have walked away, but humans had a reputation in the galaxy for trying the impossible. Jared had learned to see value where others only saw trash. 50 credits, the vendor said with a smirk, "and it's yours if you're brave enough to waste your money." Jared handed over the credits. The aliens around him burst into laughter again, calling him foolish. He picked up the safe, feeling its weight. It was heavier than it looked. Maybe it was empty, maybe it held something important. He didn't know yet. Back in his small workshop, Jared set the safe on a workbench. The room smelled of oil and metal, and parts of old machines were scattered everywhere. He examined the safe closely. The rust had eaten into some areas, but other parts were strangely intact. Odd markings, almost like symbols, were etched into the metal. They didn't look like anything he had seen before. His heart beat faster. "This is strange," he whispered to himself. He touched the lock carefully. It didn't move. He pulled out his small toolkit and began to work. Every click and twist of his tools was careful, precise. Outside, the aliens in the market might still be laughing, but inside his workshop, Jared felt a quiet excitement. Hours passed. The safe resisted his efforts, but Jared didn't give up. He cleaned the rust, pressed hidden levers, and listened for any sound that might give a clue. He worked slowly, deliberately. This was not just about money. Humans had a way of solving problems by thinking differently, and Jared trusted that instinct. Finally, a small metallic sound echoed in the room. The lock clicked. Jared's eyes widened. He slowly opened the door. Inside was a small, heavy object wrapped in a cloth. He lifted it carefully. It was a key, but unlike any key he had ever seen. The metal shimmered slightly, and strange symbols glowed faintly along its surface. The key seemed alive, as if it had a story to tell. Jared stared at it, feeling a mix of awe and curiosity. The aliens in the marketplace had laughed at him, but they had no idea. This was not just a key, it was something important, something ancient. The kind of thing that could change everything. He studied the symbols carefully. They seemed to pulse when he held the key. It was pointing, in a way he could not yet understand, toward somewhere far away. His mind raced. A hidden treasury, advanced technology, or a lost civilization could lie at the end of this path. Only a human would dare to follow it. Jared wrapped the key carefully and put it in his pack. He looked around his small workshop, feeling a spark of excitement he hadn't felt in years. The aliens had mocked him, but humans had a way of proving themselves when others doubted them. This key could take him to places no human had ever been. He paused and smiled to himself. The marketplace might still be full of laughter, but soon, the galaxy would see that even a small human could do great things. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he was ready. One human, one strange key, and the courage to follow it, that was enough to start an adventure that no alien could have imagined. As night fell over Orbis Station, Jared stepped out of his workshop, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, a mystery waited for him. Somewhere out there, a treasure that had been forgotten for centuries called his name. And he, a human who others had laughed at, was ready to answer. This was only the beginning. Jared spent the next morning in his workshop, the corroded safe open before him and the strange metallic key lying on the table. The key pulsed faintly, almost like it was alive. He turned it in his hands again and again, studying the symbols etched into the metal. They seemed to glow slightly in response to his touch. The aliens in the marketplace had laughed at him, but here, alone, he felt a quiet excitement. Humans had a way of solving problems that no one else could, and he was about to prove it. He grabbed his tools and started examining the key more closely. The symbols looked like a combination of shapes and letters, something no human language contained. But Jared had learned to see patterns where others could not. He traced the symbols with his fingers, noting the slight indentations and edges. The key seemed to hum softly, as if reacting to his attention. Hours passed. Jared cleaned it carefully, checking for hidden compartments or moving parts. Then he noticed a small seam along one edge of the key that seemed different from the rest. He pressed it gently and a tiny section of the key slid open, revealing a miniature cylinder inside. It was hollow, but inside the hollow part he saw a faint glow. His heart raced. This key was more than a key, it was a device, a tool made to unlock something far greater. Jared realized that if this key worked, it could lead him to something incredible. Maybe a vault of ancient technology, or even treasures that no human had ever seen. The idea excited him, but he also felt a little fear. Whatever this key unlocked, it had been hidden for a reason. Many had probably tried before and failed. But Jared was determined. Humans thrived in impossible situations. He studied the symbols again, mapping them on paper. Slowly, a pattern began to emerge. It was not a lock and key system like he had seen before. This key seemed to interact with energy, almost like it was drawn to a certain signal or location. Jared smiled. This explained why it pulsed when he held it. The key was guiding him, showing him the path he needed to follow. Jared realized he would need a ship. The signal coming from the key pointed far beyond Orbis Station, deep into uncharted space. He went through his small collection of scrap parts and old tools, assembling a plan. His ship was not much, but it was fast and clever, much like him. He could modify it, strengthen its engines, and make it ready for a long journey. By the evening, Jared had the key safely stored in a reinforced case. He stepped outside, looking at the bustling marketplace below. Aliens were still there, trading, laughing, and mocking anyone they considered weak. He remembered their faces and their words. They had laughed at him for buying a rusted safe, for following curiosity instead of caution. But soon, they would see that humans were not to be underestimated. Back in his workshop, he started preparing the ship. He reinforced the engine, calibrated the navigation systems, and checked the fuel cells. Every detail mattered. Humans were small in the galaxy, but ingenuity and persistence made them powerful. He worked through the night, occasionally glancing at the key. The glow seemed brighter in the dark, almost as if it was cheering him on. The next morning, the modifications were complete. Jared stood next to his ship, looking at it with pride. It was not a grand vessel, not like the huge freighters the aliens used, but it was smart and flexible. It could get him where he needed to go, and with a human at the helm, it could survive the impossible. He put the key back into his pack, ready to begin the journey that would change everything. Before leaving, Jared double-checked his route. The key's signal pointed toward an abandoned sector of space, a place full of dangers and mysteries. No alien would dare go there without a huge fleet, and many humans had avoided it altogether. But he was not like most humans. He trusted his skills, his mind, and his courage. As he climbed into the cockpit, he felt a thrill of excitement. The key was his guide, the ship his tool, and the stars his road. The laughter of the aliens at the marketplace was a faint memory now, replaced by anticipation. He pressed a few buttons, the engines hummed, and the ship lifted off. Outside, Orbis Station became smaller and smaller, until it was just a bright dot among thousands of stars. Jared adjusted the navigation system to follow the key's signal. It pulsed steadily now, guiding him through the darkness of space. He smiled, thinking about what might await him. A treasure beyond imagination, secrets of civilizations long gone, or even a power that could shake the galaxy. He did not know yet, but that uncertainty made the journey more thrilling. Hours turned into days. Jared navigated asteroid fields, dodged abandoned satellites, and passed remnants of old battles. Every challenge tested his skills, but every time human ingenuity won. The key pulsed steadily, leading him deeper into uncharted space. Sometimes he imagined the aliens who laughed at him seeing this. Their arrogance would not survive the truth. Finally, after days of travel, Jared saw it, a distant planet, cloaked in faint energy fields. The key pulsed stronger than ever. He landed carefully, stepping out into the alien terrain. The air was thin but breathable, and the ground shimmered faintly with strange minerals. He could feel the presence of something hidden, something ancient. Jared looked at the key one last time. It glowed warmly as if approving. This was only the beginning. Somewhere on this planet lay a secret waiting for him. The aliens had laughed, the marketplace had mocked, but now one human stood at the threshold of discovery, ready to prove that courage, intelligence, and persistence could unlock even the oldest mysteries of the galaxy. And with that thought, Jared stepped forward toward the unknown. Jared stood on the surface of the strange planet, the key pulsing softly in his hand. The ground beneath him glimmered with faint metallic veins, and the air smelled faintly of ozone and minerals. The sky above was a deep violet, dotted with two suns slowly setting on the horizon. He could feel energy all around him, faint but unmistakable. The key was guiding him, and he knew that whatever lay ahead, it would be incredible. He walked carefully, stepping over jagged rocks and strange plants that seemed to shimmer in the fading light. The key's pulse grew stronger as he moved forward, almost like it was alive, reacting to the environment. Jared paused occasionally to study the strange markings on the ground. They were not random. Someone, or something, had been here long before him. The markings formed a path, faintly glowing, and he followed them without hesitation. Hours passed, though time felt strange on this alien world. The landscape shifted subtly as he moved deeper into the planet's interior. What had once looked like simple rocky terrain now revealed hidden structures. Ancient ruins, half buried in the soil, rose around him. Columns and walls etched with symbols similar to the ones on the key stretched toward the sky. Jared's excitement grew. The key had led him to a place no human, or alien, had seen in centuries. He entered one of the ruins, careful not to disturb anything unnecessarily. The interior was vast, far larger than it appeared from the outside. The walls were covered in glowing inscriptions that pulsed faintly in response to the key. Jared studied them, tracing the patterns with his fingers. The symbols seemed to move slightly under his touch, reacting to his human presence in a way the aliens would never have understood. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air. Jared froze. It was not loud, but it resonated through the ruins like a heartbeat. The key pulsed in rhythm with it. Something was nearby, something old and powerful. He followed the hum, moving deeper into the ruins, past chambers filled with strange machinery and alien devices. Everything seemed abandoned, yet there was a sense of life in the way the energy flowed. As he moved, Jared realized that he was not entirely alone. Shadows flickered at the edges of his vision. He spun, but the corridors were empty. Perhaps it was the energy of the ruins interacting with his mind, or perhaps the guardians of this place were watching. Either way, he remained calm. Humans had a way of facing the unknown with patience and intelligence, and Jared trusted his instincts. Finally, he reached a massive door, unlike anything he had seen before. It was covered in complex etchings, pulsing with light. The key in his hand grew warm, almost hot, and vibrated gently. Jared approached the door, feeling a thrill of anticipation. This was the moment he had been guided to, the entrance to something extraordinary. He inserted the key into a small indentation on the door. At first, nothing happened. Then, with a soft click, the door began to glow, the symbols shifting and rearranging themselves. A low rumble shook the ruins, and the massive door slowly opened, revealing a vast chamber beyond. Jared stepped inside, his eyes widening. The chamber was filled with objects he could barely comprehend. Strange machines, glowing crystals, and devices that seemed to manipulate light and energy in ways he had never imagined. Shelves and platforms were stacked with artifacts from countless civilizations. Some looked like weapons, others like tools of science or art. The air hummed with energy, and the key's pulse matched the rhythm of the chamber. Jared walked forward cautiously, examining a glowing crystal that hovered in the air. He reached out and touched it. A sudden surge of information flowed into his mind, images, symbols, knowledge from a civilization long gone. He staggered slightly, overwhelmed. This was more than a treasure. It was a treasury of knowledge, of power, of everything the galaxy had lost over millennia. As he moved further into the chamber, he realized the key had not only led him here, it had unlocked the entire place. Ancient mechanisms responded to his presence. Doors opened, platforms shifted, and holographic displays activated. The aliens who had laughed at him would never understand this. They could have brute strength, advanced weapons, and large fleets, but they lacked the curiosity, creativity, and patience of a human. Jared spent hours exploring, careful not to disturb anything unnecessarily. Every object he examined revealed more secrets. Some contained knowledge of starship designs, faster-than-light travel, energy sources, and other technologies. Others were messages, warnings, or instructions left by civilizations long extinct. The scale of what he had found was unimaginable. At one point, he paused and looked back toward the entrance. The planet outside was quiet, seemingly empty. But Jared knew that soon word of this place could spread. Humans had always been underestimated, yet here he was, standing in the greatest treasury the galaxy had ever hidden. He smiled. This was just the beginning. With the key in hand, guiding him through the chamber, Jared felt a surge of determination. He had survived the laughter, the doubts, and the long journey. Now he would learn, explore, and perhaps share the knowledge he found. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. One small human with courage, intelligence, and perseverance had opened the door to secrets that no alien could unlock. Jared took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the chamber flow around him. He had reached the hidden heart of the galaxy's past. And with the key in his hand, he was ready to uncover everything it had to offer. Jared stood in the vast chamber, staring at the treasures that stretched farther than his eyes could see. The key pulsed steadily in his hand, its light reflecting off the glowing crystals, strange devices and alien artifacts surrounding him. Every object seemed ancient yet full of power. He could feel energy flowing through the air, hums and vibrations that made his skin tingle. This was no ordinary vault. It was a galactic treasury hidden for countless generations, waiting for someone clever enough to unlock it. He stepped cautiously, moving past a row of hovering platforms, each carrying strange metallic objects shaped like tools, weapons, or instruments. Some emitted faint lights, others whispered with energy, and a few seemed almost alive. Jared reached out to touch one of the simpler items, a small device that pulsed with a blue glow. Instantly, his mind filled with images of star systems, routes between planets, and maps of civilizations long gone. He staggered slightly, overwhelmed but exhilarated. This place contained knowledge that could change the galaxy. As he explored, he noticed the security systems still functioning. Tiny drones floated silently in the air, scanning him, while energy barriers blocked certain paths. But the key in his hand reacted. It glowed brighter near each obstacle, guiding him. With careful movements, Jared manipulated levers, pressed panels, and solved simple but clever mechanisms that no alien intelligence could have anticipated. Every solution opened a new passage deeper into the vault. Hours passed, yet Jared felt no fatigue. Humans had a way of focusing when curiosity and determination drove them. Every puzzle he solved, every device he activated, reminded him of why humans survived in a galaxy filled with stronger and faster species. It was not brute force or sheer size that mattered, it was creativity, patience, and persistence. In the heart of the chamber, he discovered a pedestal covered in ancient inscriptions. The key pulsed strongly in response. He approached carefully. Carved into the pedestal was a large symbol that matched the ones on the key. Jared inserted the key, holding his breath. The pedestal responded instantly, rising slightly and projecting a holographic map of the galaxy. Points of light appeared, some bright and active, others dim and long abandoned. The map seemed to mark locations of hidden caches, lost civilizations and advanced technologies. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the chamber, a low, resonant hum. Jared froze. Shadows moved at the edge of his vision. Alien voices, soft but clear, reached him. He turned, seeing a small group of the very aliens who had mocked him on Orbis Station. They had somehow tracked him here, hoping to steal whatever he found. Their faces were a mix of greed and disbelief. They had expected an empty vault or a trap, but Jared stood there, alive and calm, key in hand. The aliens tried to approach, but the vault did not respond to them. Energy barriers activated, doors closed, and the drones shifted toward defense. Jared realized the vault was responding to him alone. Only a human with curiosity and patience could navigate these systems. He smiled quietly. This was exactly the moment humans thrived. The moment when others failed because they underestimated intelligence and ingenuity. Jared took a deep breath and stepped forward, his presence commanding the vault. He began exploring more deliberately, taking notes, touching crystals and carefully examining devices. Each object revealed more knowledge, ways to generate energy, faster than light navigation, medical advancements, and tools that could change life on countless planets. It was a treasure far beyond gold or jewels. This was power, wisdom, and technology, waiting to be used responsibly. The aliens watched helplessly as he moved, unable to interfere. They had laughed at him for buying a corroded safe, yet here he was, standing at the center of a treasury they could not access. Their arrogance had blinded them. Jared, small and underestimated, had proven them wrong. He had shown that humans, though seemingly fragile, could achieve greatness with persistence and cleverness. Hours turned into a full cycle of the planet. Jared finally paused, sitting on a low platform, exhausted but triumphant. He looked around at the glowing chamber, at the artifacts that hummed with unseen energy. A smile spread across his face. This was just the beginning. With the knowledge and tools he found here, humans could explore more of the galaxy, protect themselves, and perhaps even thrive where no one expected. He took one last look at the aliens who were now leaving quietly, defeated. Jared felt no anger, only satisfaction. Humans did not need to dominate through fear. They excelled through curiosity, intelligence, and courage. And today those qualities had unlocked something that would echo across the stars. Jared stood, key in hand, ready to map out the vault and understand its secrets. This treasure was not only for him, It was a testament to what humans could do. He could see it in his mind already. New starships, new discoveries, alliances with civilizations that had long been forgotten, and the respective species who had once mocked him. As he prepared to leave the chamber, he felt a surge of determination. This galactic treasury was immense, but the galaxy was bigger. There were more mysteries, more dangers, and more challenges awaiting humans. And if one human could unlock this vault, what else could humans achieve? Jared stepped forward, ready to explore further, ready to learn and share, ready to prove that even a small human, underestimated and laughed at, could leave a mark on the galaxy that no alien could ignore. The key pulsed once more, bright and steady, guiding him to the next adventure. Jared stood on the observation deck of his small ship, looking out at the stars that stretched endlessly across the galaxy. The key rested in a secure compartment beside him, its faint glow still pulsing gently. Behind him lay the vault he had discovered, the galactic treasury that no alien had ever accessed. He could feel its energy echoing through space, a silent reminder of the power humans could wield with curiosity and persistence. Word of his discovery traveled faster than he expected. Ships from distant systems arrived at Orbis Station, carrying news of a human who had unlocked a treasure no one thought possible. Aliens who had once laughed at him now watched from afar, some with fear, others with reluctant respect. Jared did not return their glares. Humans did not need to prove themselves with arrogance. They did it with action, intelligence, and courage. As he navigated his ship back to Orbis Station, he thought about the vault. Inside were technologies that could change the course of civilizations, energy sources that could power entire planets, and knowledge that had been lost for centuries. Humans were small in the galaxy, but with understanding and ingenuity, they could achieve greatness. Jared smiled. One human, underestimated and laughed at, had already done something remarkable. At Orbis Station, the marketplace was quiet. The same aliens who had mocked him now whispered among themselves, watching him discreetly. Jared ignored them. He had little interest in their opinions. Instead, he focused on what he had learned and what he could share. He knew that some of the discoveries were too powerful for one species alone. Cooperation, he realized, could bring about a new era in the galaxy. Jared began by sharing small, harmless technologies first: tools to clean water, devices to improve agriculture, and simple energy modules that could help struggling planets. The reactions were mixed. Some aliens were skeptical, but others were amazed. Slowly, humans began to gain recognition. The species that had been dismissed as weak, fragile, and unimportant now demonstrated qualities no other race had fully appreciated: intelligence, resourcefulness, and resilience. More humans joined him. Scientists, engineers, and explorers came from Earth and human colonies across the stars. Together they started mapping the vault, cataloging every device, crystal, and artifact. Each discovery inspired new ideas and new ventures. Humans learned from the past civilizations stored within the vault, adopting their technologies while adding their own creativity and problem-solving skills. The aliens who had once mocked him watched, realizing their arrogance had been misplaced. Their fleets and weapons were impressive, but their pride had blinded them to human potential. Jared did not gloat. He continued his work quietly, letting the results speak for themselves. Humans did not need to fight to be respected. Their persistence and intelligence were enough. As the years passed, humans expanded their influence in subtle but powerful ways. Planets previously thought barren became thriving colonies with the help of human innovation. Starships became faster, safer, and more efficient, incorporating designs inspired by the treasury. Humans began exploring regions of space that no alien dared to enter, driven by curiosity and courage. Jared continued his personal explorations, guided always by the key. It had not yet revealed all its secrets. Some chambers in the vault remained locked, more complex than anything he had encountered. But humans were patient and determined. With each puzzle solved, they uncovered new knowledge, always careful to respect the power they were handling. One evening, as Jared gazed out at the stars from the deck of his ship, he thought of the marketplace on Orbis Station, the aliens laughing as he bought the corroded safe. He chuckled softly. How small those moments seemed now. The laughter had been meaningless. Humans had survived, thrived, and discovered that even a single person could make a difference in the galaxy. The key pulsed lightly, a reminder that adventure was never truly over. There were still mysteries hidden in the far reaches of space, waiting for humans to find them. Jared felt a surge of pride. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated, but their minds were sharp, their curiosity unending, and their courage unmatched. One human had opened the galactic treasury, and many more would follow, changing the galaxy in ways no one could predict. He set the ship on course for the next system, eager to explore and learn. Around him, the stars sparkled, endless and full of promise. Humans had entered a new era, not by force but by ingenuity and bravery. Every step, every discovery, every challenge faced had proved that humans were capable of greatness. Jared smiled as he thought of what lay ahead. The key in his possession was not just a tool, it was a symbol of human potential. No alien, no force, no obstacle could underestimate a human again. Curiosity, intelligence, and determination had carried him across the stars. And now, humanity had a place among civilizations that had once considered them insignificant. The galaxy was vast, full of secrets, dangers, and opportunities. But Jared knew that humans, small and underestimated, would rise to meet them. With the treasury unlocked and the knowledge gained, the stage was set for a new chapter. One human had changed the galaxy. Many more would follow. As his ship disappeared into the expanse of space, the key pulsed softly, a steady heartbeat in the darkness. It guided him, and through him, it guided humanity. The stars awaited, endless and full of promise, and humans were ready to leave their mark.